Hey everyone, ready to dive deep. Today, it's Michael Neill's Supercoach. You guys sent over some excerpts, and let me tell you, this book, it's like a roadmap to unlocking your full potential. We're talking success, happiness, the power of the mind, the whole enchilada, and it's all about these 10 secrets, apparently.
10 key ideas, yeah. Less about like hidden knowledge and more about reframing how we see the world and ourselves even. But Neil lays it all out in this really cool coaching session style, full of stories and analogies. You even get exercises to try out.
So less Da Vinci Code mystery and more like a personal growth boot camp.
Got it. So what's the first big aha moment? What does Neil hit us with right out of the gate?
Well, imagine if someone told you the world is basically make-believe, that you're living in this movie that you're also kind of writing as you go.
Well, okay, hold on. Are we going full Matrix here? Because honestly, I'm kind of down for that.
Not quite that sci-fi, but yeah, similar vibes. What Neil's getting at is our thoughts are crazy powerful. They actually shape our reality. So, like, if I keep thinking I'm going to have a terrible day, it's more likely to actually go south.
Exactly. There's this exercise in the book where you list everything green you see, then close your eyes and list everything brown afterward. You notice way more brown stuff, even though it was always there.
It's like our brains pick favorites, huh? Based on whatever's top of mind.
Precisely. And that's huge. If we're always focused on problems, guess what? We see more problems. But shift that focus to solutions, opportunities. Well, what do you think happens?
We start seeing more of the good stuff.
Okay.
So secret number one to success and happiness is become an optimist.
It's a bit more nuanced than that. It's not about ignoring the bad stuff. It's about understanding that how you see things is a choice. You choose to see the world through a lens of possibility, you know?
Okay, that's kind of empowering when you put it like that. So where does this choice thing fit in with the next secret? The one called Born Happy, Covered in Horse Crap. Gotta say, that title's a bit out there.
Right. Remember we were talking about our thoughts creating our reality? This secret dives into where those thoughts come from. More importantly, the real you underneath it all.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but horse crap, really?
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
And gotta admit, it sticks with it. Imagine, like, a diamond, flawless, totally brilliant. Now imagine it gets covered in, well, you know. Then someone tries to make it pretty with nail polish. That's kind of what we do to ourselves.
So the diamonds are like inner awesomeness,
Yeah.
and the other stuff is all the junk life throws our way.
Exactly. Neil calls it essence versus persona. Essence is that pure potential. But then we build this persona a mask, basically, to, protect ourselves, fit in, all that.
So secret number two is all about ditching the mask, letting our inner diamond shine.
It's not always that easy. Sometimes a mask, it serves a purpose, but it asks about realizing those masks, those layers, they're not the real you. And sometimes they hide your brilliance.
Hold up. I'm sensing a theme here. First, we create our reality with our thoughts. Now we're creating ourselves with this persona thing. It's like we're the ultimate DIY project.
Love that. And speaking of creating, that takes us to secret number 3, the problem with goals and how to fix it.
Oh, goals. Now, that's something I'm always trying to figure out. Everyone seems to have a different take on it. And I've struggled with the whole goal-setting thing, to be honest. It can feel so stressful.
Tons of people feel that way. Neil actually challenges that whole obsession with goals we have. He even quotes George Bernard Shaw. The trouble with the rat race is that even if you win, you're still a rat.
Okay, wow. Kind of bleak, but I get it. Like, what's the point of achieving something if you're miserable the whole way there?
Exactly. So instead of being all goal, 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 Neil suggests we focus on mental and physical involvement, basically being totally present in the process.
So instead of obsessing over the destination, enjoy the journey. I can see how that would take the pressure off.
Think about starting a business, right? Instead of fixating on profit margins, what if you just let yourself get fascinated by creating something new, solving problems, connecting with people? That's involvement.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I'm starting to see how these secrets all tie together. It's not just about achieving things, it's about how you go about it.
You got it. And that shift in mindset, it can change everything, not just in business, but in any area of life, really.
So first we create our reality, then ourselves. Now we're consciously creating our experiences. I'm liking this pattern, and I gotta say, it's pretty darn exciting.
We're just getting started. 7 more secrets to go.
Okay, I'm hooked. What's next on the agenda?
Well, I think we all need Neil's advice on decision making. It's called making decisions the simple way. And get this, he says the more reasons you have for doing something, the less you actually want to do it.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's so me. Especially when I'm trying to convince myself to do something I'm not sure about.
That's exactly what he's talking about. It's like deep down, you already know the answer, but your mind's trying to overrule it with logic and reasons.
So how do we tap into that inner knowing? Do we need to, like, meditate on a mountaintop?
It doesn't have to be that complicated. It can be as simple as asking, if I could only give one reason for doing this, what would it be? That one reason, that's usually your gut talking, your true motivation.
Okay, that's a seriously helpful tip. I'm definitely trying that next time I'm stuck.
You might be surprised how much clearer things get when you cut through all the mental clutter.
This whole thing is starting to feel like a major mental decluttering project,
hmm
and I'm kind of digging it. What else does Neil have in store for us?
Well, the next secret tackles something we all deal with but rarely understand, our moods. And the title, Rainy Days and Mondays, Mastering Your Mood, kind of gives it away.
Okay, so those days when you just wake up feeling blah, is there actually a way to master that? Because if so, sign me up.
Neil drops a truth bomb here. He says every emotion is a direct response to a thought. Not to the outside world, but to what's going on in our heads.
So it's not the rainy day that's making me gloomy, it's my thoughts about the rain.
Exactly. Remember that movie analogy? You feel scared watching a horror film, happy watching a comedy, even though you're just sitting in a dark room.
So if we can control our thoughts, we control our feelings. That's a pretty radical idea.
It is, and it challenges that whole think positive thing. Neil says that's often ineffective.
So instead of forcing ourselves to be happy all the time, what do?
He suggests becoming an observer of your thoughts. Let them come and go, but don't get all tangled up in them. Just notice them, acknowledge them, and let them float on by.
Sounds tough, but also kind of freeing, like you're not a slave to your emotions anymore. You get to choose how you react.
Exactly. It's about taking back the reins of your inner world.
Okay, so we create our reality, then ourselves, then master our moods. I'm starting to feel like I could conquer the world after this deep dive. What's next?
Well, this next one might seem counterintuitive, especially in our go-go-go culture. It's called Having an Average Day, the Power of Choice.
Wait, embracing an average day. Isn't the whole point of personal development to make every day amazing?
That's where Neil flips the script. He's not saying we should settle for mediocrity. He's showing us the power of choice in every moment, even the boring ones.
So like, choosing cereal over toast for breakfast is a power move.
It's more about realizing that everything is a choice, even the stuff we do on autopilot. He gets kind of extreme in the book. Like, picture someone refusing to move or eat, even if it meant going to the hospital.
Okay, point made. Even our most basic actions are choices. We just don't always think of it that way.
Exactly. And when we start seeing everything as a choice, it can be incredibly liberating.
I bet. Instead of feeling trapped by obligations, you feel empowered by the possibilities.
Precisely. And that feeling of empowerment, it can spill over into every part of your life.
So how does choice play into how we interact with other people? That's a big part of life, right?
Absolutely. And that brings us to listening made fun, hearing the real person. It's all about how the choices we make when we listen shape our relationships.
Okay, I'm all ears. Pun intended. So, how do we make listening more fun? And how does that help us hear the real person?
Well, Neil's big insight here is that we actually create other people by how we listen to them.
Seriously, it's like we're building them in our minds based on what we hear.
Nailed it. He tells this hilarious joke about a guy with a banana in his ear. Perfectly sums up how our listening filters totally warp our perceptions.
Okay, got to hear this banana joke. Spill the beans.
All right, picture this. A guy walks into a doctor's office with a banana stuck in his ear. Doctor's like, "What? How'd that happen?" The guy goes, "Well, I was ironing and the phone rang, so I picked up the iron."
Oh my God, he picked up the iron to answer the phone. I see where this is going.
Exactly. It's about how we often hear what we expect to hear, not what's actually being said, or what fits our, preconceived notions.
So instead of a banana in our ear, we've got a bunch of assumptions and biases messing with our listening.
You got it. And those filters, they block us from really connecting with the person right in front of us.
Okay, so how do we ditch the mental bananas and become better listeners?
Neil gives a few tips. First, listen to the actual words. No interpreting or reading between the lines. Then, pay attention to that voice inside you, your judgments, your reactions, separate from what the other person's saying. And lastly, listen easy, like you would to background music. No need to analyze or solve anything.
So basically, quiet our own minds and just be present with the other person.
You got it. It's about creating space for genuine connection, real understanding.
Wow, I never thought of listening as such a powerful relationship tool.
It really is. And the best part, you can get better with practice.
Okay, I'm ready to level up my listening game. What other gems does Neil have hidden up his sleeve?
Well, this next one's all about getting what you want, and it might surprise you. It's called asking for anything and getting it.
Now I'm really intrigued. Is there some Jedi mind trick involved here? Because I'm so ready to learn that.
It's much simpler than that, actually. Neil's message is straight up. You can ask anyone for anything as long as you make it okay for them to say no.
Wait, so the secret is just being cool with rejection. That seems almost too easy.
It's a mindset shift, right? It's not about manipulating people or getting your way no matter what. It's about letting go of that need for approval, being clear about what you want, and not taking a no personally.
So no more tiptoeing around what we want. Just go for it, knowing it's okay if they say no.
Exactly. When we detach our self-worth from the outcome, we can ask boldly, no fear of rejection.
Takes guts, but it's also incredibly empowering.
It is. Opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
So what's one bold request you've been hesitant to make? What would it take to ask knowing a no wouldn't diminish you?
Ooh, that's a good one to think about. And it leads perfectly into the next secret. Neil challenges some common beliefs about money in this one.
Okay, money talk, always a hot topic. What's the secret called?
It's financial security. It's not about the money.
Hold up. Isn't financial security like the definition of having money?
That's what we're told, right? But Neil says true financial security isn't about a big bank balance. It's about the ability to create value and generate income whenever you need it.
So it's not about how much you have but your ability to create more.
Bingo. It's shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
But isn't that kind of idealistic? Bills still got to get paid, right?
Of course, practical stuff matters. But the point is, when you focus on bringing value to the table, serving others, the money tends to follow.
So it's like that saying, do what you love and the money will come.
Similar, but with an extra emphasis on serving others. When you're focused on creating value for other people, you naturally attract abundance.
Okay, I haven't thought about it like that before. It's less about chasing money, more about creating something meaningful that helps others.
Exactly. And that brings us to the final secret, which ties everything together beautifully. The power of hope, living beyond limits.
Hope. That's a powerful word, especially these days. What's Neil's take on it?
He defines hope not as a guarantee, but as an invitation to enjoy the possibilities, you know. It's about being open to what could be, even when things seem tough.
So, not blind optimism, but choosing to believe in the potential for good things to happen.
You got it. And he tells this great story about a woman throwing starfish back into the ocean after a storm. She can't save them all, but each one she helps makes a difference.
Love that imagery.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even small acts of hope can ripple outward.
Right. And it's a call to action. Find those little acts of hope in your own life. Choose to believe in a better future and then take action to make it happen.
Wow, we've covered so much. From the power of our thoughts to listening to the potential of hope. It's like a complete guide to personal transformation.
And that's exactly what Supercoach is. It's about unlocking your potential and creating a life that truly reflects who you are at your core.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to put these secrets into practice. It's one thing to read about them, but another to actually experience them, you know?
And that's what we're here for, to help
Yeah.
you bridge that gap between knowing and doing.
So what's the next step? How do we take all this and turn it into real change?
Great question. And it's something we'll be diving into next time.
Can't wait. Let's do it. Okay, so we've laid out those 10 secrets from Supercoach. Now let's really get into it. Starting with that first one, the world is make-believe. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around the idea that our thoughts can, actually shape reality. It's almost too good to be true.
It is a powerful concept,
Mm-hmm.
but it's backed up by a ton of research and honestly, just everyday experiences too. Think about those times you were worried about something and then it actually happened.
Oh, all the time. Like when you're running late and convinced you'll hit every red light,
Right.
and then you DO. It's like you're manifesting your own bad luck, you know?
Exactly. But the good news is, if we can manifest the bad stuff, we can manifest the good stuff too.
Okay, so how do we do that? Do we just walk around chanting affirmations all day?
It's not quite that simple, though affirmations can definitely help. It's more about being aware of those thoughts, those patterns, and consciously choosing to focus on what you want to create.
So less dwelling on what could go wrong, more on what could go right.
You got it. Neil talks about shifting from a problem-focused mindset to a solution-focused one. Instead of getting stuck on the obstacles, ask yourself, what's the best possible outcome here?
That's a really good question to ask. Like, it almost forces you to see the good, even when things are tough.
Right. And remember that green and brown exercise we mentioned? That's a great way to practice shifting your focus.
Oh, yeah, the one where you list all the green stuff, then the brown stuff, and you end up noticing way more brown. It's like you're training your brain to see what you're looking for.
Exactly. And if we can train it to see problems, we can train it to see possibilities too.
Okay, I'm starting to get this whole mind creates reality thing a little better. But what about that second secret? Born happy, covered in horse crap. How does that fit in?
Well, remember we talked about essence versus persona, the whole diamond covered in muck metaphor?
Yeah, the idea that our true selves are awesome, but we cover them up with layers of, well, not so awesome stuff.
Right. So if we're creating our reality with our thoughts, whose thoughts are we thinking, really? Are they the thoughts of our true, amazing selves? Or the thoughts of our scared, insecure personas?
Whoa, that's deep. So the key to happiness is tapping into our essence, that diamond self.
It's not always that simple. Sometimes the persona serves a purpose. It might be protecting us or helping us fit in. But it's about being aware of that mask we're wearing, making sure it's working for us, not holding us back.
So how do we know which parts of the persona are helpful and which parts are just baggage?
It's a journey, you know. Journaling can help. Meditation's great too. Or even just spending time in nature, away from all the distractions. The key is to quiet all the noise and really listen to that inner voice.
Makes sense. So we create our reality with our thoughts, and those thoughts are shaped by our persona, which is like this filter between our true selves and the world, kind of like a mental game of telephone.
Perfect analogy. And once we understand the game, we can play it a lot more consciously.
Okay, so we've got thought power, diamond selves, mental filters. What's next in this personal development puzzle?
Let's talk about goals. That's the heart of the third secret, the problem with goals and how to fix it. Because remember, if we're creating our reality, we got to be careful what we're aiming for.
Right, because like Neil said, even if you win the rat race, you're still a rat.
Exactly. So it's not just about achieving any goals. It's about picking the right goals and then enjoying the process of getting there.
How do we even know if we're chasing the wrong goals?
Good question. Ask yourself, why do I want this? If the answer is something like to be happy or to impress people, might want to rethink that one.
So, got to align our goals with our values, our true selves.
Yep. Exactly. And then focus on that mental and physical involvement Neil talks about.
Right, less outcome obsessed, more joy in the journey. Can you give me an example of what that would look like?
Sure. Let's say your goal is to write a book, right?
Hmm.
If you're only thinking about getting published, becoming a bestseller, you might miss the joy of actually writing the thing. The pressure might take over, and you lose that creative spark, that passion that got you started in the first place.
That's so true. I've totally been there. So focused on the finish line that I forget to enjoy the race.
And that's where burnout comes in. When we let go of the outcome a bit, allow ourselves to be present in the process. That's when the magic happens.
Okay, so choose the right goals
Yeah.
and enjoy the ride. Got it. But what about when we're just stuck? Like we know what we want, but we can't decide what to do?
That's where the fourth secret comes in. Making decisions the simple way. And Neil's advice on this one, it's kind of unexpected.
Okay, lay it on me.
He says the more reasons you have for doing something, the less you actually want to do it.
Wait, what? How does that work?
Think about it. When you're truly excited about something, you don't need a million reasons, right? You just do it.
It's okay, true. But what about big decisions, like changing careers or moving to a new city? You can't just wing those, right?
Of course not. But we often overthink things to the point where we get paralyzed. We make these huge lists of pros and cons, but deep down, we already know the answer.
So our intuition's trying to tell us something, but we drown it out with all the mental chatter.
Exactly. And Neil suggests we ditch the mental gymnastics and simplify things. Ask yourself, if I could only give one reason to do this, what would it be? That one reason, that's usually your gut feeling, your heart speaking.
I love that, cutting through all the BS and getting to the core of what matters.
Right. And often that one core reason is enough.
Okay, I'm filing that tip away for later. Seriously helpful.
You might be surprised how much easier decision-making becomes when you trust that gut instinct.
This is feeling like a total mental makeover, and I am here for it.
Love that. And speaking of makeovers, the next secret is all about mastering our moods. which can feel like a full-time job sometimes, right?
Oh, moods, don't get me started. Some days I'm ready to take on the world, other days I just want to hide under the covers.
We all have those days. But Neil's got some seriously helpful advice in Rainy Days and Mondays. Mastering your mood. He says every emotion we feel, it's a direct response to a thought, not to what's happening around us, but to what's going on in our heads.
So it's not the actual rainy day that's bumming me out. It's my thoughts about the rain.
Exactly. Think back to that movie theater analogy. Horror film, you feel scared. Comedy, you feel happy. Same dark room, different feelings.
So if we control our thoughts, we control our feelings.
That's the idea. It's not about pretending we don't have negative emotions. It's about understanding where they come from and then choosing how we react.
But what about when you just can't shake a bad mood? Like, you know you should be happy, but you're just not.
Neil actually cautions against that whole think positive thing. He says trying to force happiness is like holding a beach ball underwater. It'll just pop up somewhere else.
So what do we do instead? Just wallow in our misery.
Not exactly. It's about becoming an observer. Notice your thoughts, acknowledge them, but don't get all tangled up in them. Let them float on by.
Easier said than done, I'm guessing. But I can see how that would help. It's like you're taking away the power of those negative thoughts.
That's exactly it. When we stop giving them so much power, they lose their grip on us.
Okay, so we create our reality. Those thoughts are shaped by our persona, pick the right goals, trust our gut, and now we're mastering our moods. Feeling pretty superhuman over here.
We're on a roll, and there's still more to come. 5 more secrets to uncover.
Hit me. I'm ready for whatever Neil throws our way.
All right. Well, this next one might seem a little strange, especially with our go, go, go culture. It's called Having an Average Day, the Power of Choice.
Wait, embracing an average day? Isn't personal development all about making every day extraordinary?
That's where Neil challenges us to think differently. He's not saying we should settle for mediocrity. He's showing us the power of choice in every single moment, even the ordinary ones.
So like, picking cereal over toast for breakfast is a power move now.
It's more about realizing that everything is a choice, even the things we do without thinking. He uses a pretty extreme example in the book, like someone who decides not to eat or move, even if it means ending up in the hospital.
Okay, point taken. Even the most basic things are choices. We just don't see them that way most of the time.
Right, and when we start seeing everything as a choice, it's super freeing.
I bet instead of feeling trapped, you feel like you have options.
Possibilities.
Exactly. And that feeling, it can change your whole outlook.
So how does this idea of choice affect how we interact with other people? Because that's a huge part of life, obviously. It totally is. And that brings us to listening made fun, hearing the real person. This one's all about how the choices we make when we listen shape our relationships.
Okay, I'm all ears, literally. So how do we make listening more fun? And how does that help us hear the real person, underneath it all?
Well, Neil's big takeaway here is that we actually create other people by how we listen to them.
Seriously, like we're building them in our minds based on what we hear.
Nailed it. And to illustrate this, he tells this hilarious joke about a guy with a banana stuck in his ear. It perfectly sums up how our listening filters distort everything.
Okay, I have to hear this banana joke now. Tell me.
All right, so picture this. Guy walks into a doctor's office with a banana jammed in his ear. Doctor's all confused, like, how on earth did that happen? And the guy says, well, I was ironing and the phone rang, so I picked up the iron.
Oh my God, he answered the iron. Okay, I see where this is going.
Exactly. It's about how we often hear what we expect to hear, not what's actually being said, or what fits our preconceived ideas.
So instead of a banana in our ear, we've got all these assumptions and biases messing with our listening.
You got it. And those filters, they get in the way of truly connecting with the other person.
Okay, so how do we ditch the mental bananas, so to speak, and become better listeners?
Neil gives some great tips. First, listen to the actual words. No interpreting, no reading between the lines. Second, notice that voice in your head, your judgments, your reactions, and keep them separate from what the other person's saying. And lastly, listen easy, like background music, no need to overanalyze or jump in to fix anything.
So it's about quieting our own minds, being present.
Exactly, creating space for genuine connection, real understanding.
Wow. I never realized listening was such a powerful tool.
It is, and the coolest thing, it's a skill you can get better at with practice.
Okay, I'm ready to level up my listening game. What other amazing insights does Neil have for us?
This next one's all about getting what you want, and it might surprise you. It's called asking for anything and getting it.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Is there some secret Jedi mind trick I need to learn? Because I am SO ready.
It's a lot more straightforward than that, actually. Neil says you can ask anyone for anything, as long as you make it okay for them to say no.
Wait, so the secret is being cool with rejection. Seems too easy.
It's about changing your perspective. It's not about manipulating people or getting your way no matter what. It's about letting go of that need for approval, being clear about what you want, and not taking no personally.
So no more beating around the bush. Just ask for what you want, knowing they might say no.
Exactly. When we detach our self-worth from the outcome, we can ask boldly without that fear of rejection holding us back.
Takes courage. But it's also really empowering when you think about
It
it.
is. It opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Okay, give me an example. What's one thing you've been wanting to ask for, but you've been hesitant? What would it take to finally go for it, knowing a no wouldn't make you any less worthy?
Ooh, good one. Definitely something to think about. And it leads perfectly into the next secret, where Neil challenges some common beliefs about money.
All right, money talk. Always an interesting one. What's this secret called?
It's financial security. It's not about the money.
Hold on, isn't financial security like the definition of having money?
That's what we're taught to believe, right? But Neil says true financial security isn't about having tons of cash. It's about the ability to create value and generate income whenever you need it.
So it's not about how much you have, but your ability to make more.
Exactly. It's shifting from that scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
But isn't that a little unrealistic? I mean, bills still got to get paid.
Of course, practical matters are important, but the key is when you're focused on providing value, serving others, the money tends to follow.
So it's that whole do what you love, the money will come thing.
Similar, but with an emphasis on serving others. When you focus on creating value for other people, you naturally attract abundance.
Okay, that's a cool way to look at it. Less about chasing money, more about creating something meaningful that helps other people.
That's it. And that leads us to the final secret, which ties everything together so beautifully. It's called the power of hope, living beyond limits.
Hope. That's a powerful word. What's Neil's take on it?
He defines hope not as a guarantee, but as an invitation to enjoy the possibilities, to be open to what could be, even when things seem uncertain.
So it's not about blind optimism. It's about choosing to believe that good things are possible.
You got it. And to illustrate this, he tells this story about a woman throwing starfish back into the ocean after a storm. She can't save them all, but each one she helps makes a difference.
That's such a great image. It reminds me that even small acts of hope can have a big impact.
Exactly, and it's a call to action. Find those small acts of hope in your own life, choose to believe in a better future, and then go create it.
Wow. We've covered so much. From thought power to listening to hope. It's like a complete roadmap for personal transformation.
And that's what Supercoach is, really. It's about unlocking your potential, creating a life that's truly authentic to you.
I'm definitely inspired to put these secrets into action. It's one thing to read about them, but another to actually experience them.
And that's what we're here for, to help bridge that gap between knowing and doing.
So what's the next step?
Yeah.
How do we take all of this amazing information and turn it into real-life change?
Great question. And it's what we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
I can't wait. Let's do it. Okay, so we've unpacked these 10 secrets from Supercoach. We've talked about like the power of our thoughts, aligning our goals with our true selves, and even how important listening is. It's a lot to absorb, but I'm already seeing how these ideas could really make a difference, you know?
That's the thing about Neil's work. It's not just about knowledge, it's about putting it into practice.
So how do we do that? How do we bridge that gap from knowing to actually doing?
Well, I think step one is picking one secret that speaks to you, the one that feels like it could have the biggest impact right now.
So not trying to tackle all 10 at once. Just focus on one, really master it.
Exactly. It's like learning anything new. You wouldn't try to learn piano and French and gourmet cooking all at the same time, right?
Uh-huh. No way. I'd probably end up with a burnt souffle, a jumbled mess of French, and a piano that sounded like a cat fight.
Exactly. So pick one secret and start playing with it in your everyday life.
Okay, so let's say I choose the world as make-believe, because I really want to work on shifting from problems to possibilities. How would I actually do that?
Start by paying attention to your thoughts throughout the day. When you find yourself dwelling on something negative, make a conscious effort to redirect your focus. Find something positive to think about.
So, like, consciously looking for the good, even when things are tough.
Exactly. It could be simple things like noticing how beautiful the trees are, or thinking about something you're grateful for.
So basically training your brain to look for the upside, even in challenges.
You got it. And as you do this, your whole perception starts to shift. You'll see more opportunities, more solutions, more reasons to be optimistic.
That's pretty amazing.
Well,
It's like rewiring your brain for happiness.
exactly. And it works with the other secrets too. Want to improve your decision making? Start tuning into your intuition. Want to master your moods? Observe your thoughts. Don't get swept away by them. Want better relationships? Practice intentional listening.
So it's not about making huge changes overnight. It's about those small, consistent shifts in how we think and what we do.
Exactly. And as we make those shifts, they create a ripple effect that touches every part of our lives.
I love that. It's like we have the power to create our own reality, not just in our minds, but in the actual world around us.
That's exactly it. And that's the core message of Supercoach. It's not just about personal growth, it's about making the world better. One thought, one choice, one action at a time.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. Like we're all connected.
Yeah.
And our own little transformations contribute to a bigger shift in like consciousness or something.
Beautifully put. And it reminds us that we're all in this together. We have the power to create a world that's more loving, more compassionate, more fulfilling.
I'm definitely feeling that sense of possibility now and excited to see what happens as I keep exploring these secrets. It feels like a new adventure is just beginning.
That's the beautiful thing about life. It's a constant journey of discovery and growth.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. But before we go, I just want to say thanks for sharing all this wisdom and insight with me today. It's been incredible.
My pleasure. And remember, this is just the start. Keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep believing in your own amazing potential.
I will. And for everyone listening out there, we encourage you to do the same. Pick a secret, give it a shot, see what magic you can create. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Supercoach. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep creating the life you want.